Okay. So we have, I think we need to start first with expressing solidarity to the Ukrainian people. And they are really having hard times there. This is the big tragedies happening in the world. And I wish this war finished very, very, very soon. And I wish peace in the whole world, in all in your countries, my dear friends. Thank you very much for joining. Today, I'm very happy that this meeting has started. Well, let me introduce myself, and I'm Elena Tsatsua. I'm English language teacher. I've been teaching English more than 15 years at Tbilisi State University. I'm also the founder of English Teacher Space, the organization, which supports English language teaching all over Georgia, also supports the youth to become better citizens in the country. So my project is called Become a Creator, Read, Think, Survive. And this meeting, today's meeting is called Exchanging Cultural Data Between Different Countries. So I can see here my counterpart from Georgia, Ms. Manana Kapetivadze. I can see Susmita from India. Nice to meet you again, and I'm very happy that you have joined. And my students, also Manana students, I hope other people will join us. I would like to present today to start with my presentation, with my students' presentation, and that they will share the history of Khoni Municipality, which is our hometown, and where this project is implemented at the moment. So I would like to introduce my students. I will just read their names: Nino, Natia, Misho, Lisa, another Lisa, Anastasia, and Mari. Mari is my university student. Thank you, Mari, for participating. And the other students are from public school, from different public schools in Khoni Municipality. Well, before moving to our presentation, I mean, which was the group presentation about the city from which we come from, I would like to share with you some information about my country. Georgia is an ancient country, which consists of two parts, West Georgia and East Georgia. So, you know, by the end of 8th century, before Christ, the first two Georgian states emerged. So in the West, it was known as the Kingdom of Colchis, and in the East as the Kingdom of Iberia. So I wanted just to mention that this country is very ancient country. So on this map, you can see Georgian territory. With the red color, you can see 20% of Georgia, which is occupied by Russia nowadays. On the second map, you can see, again, Georgian territory, and you can see different colors. And these different colors indicate different regions of Georgia. You know, all the regions are different with their traditions, some cultural, the cultural items, but still they are called Georgian. So people are Georgian. So today we will concentrate on one of the regions only, which is Imereti in the heart of Georgia. And the main city here where we come from, this is Khoni Municipality in the west of Georgia. So, and our hero today will be Ivane Sharashidze, who did a lot of things in this municipality. And now I'm going to ask Nino, our project participant, to go on with the text. Nino, please.
Previous Khoni, West Georgia. Khoni is one of the oldest settlements in all western Georgia. According to the chronicles, Emperor Justinian founded the settlement of Khoni in Lazeti, which was proved by the water supply system discovered on Khoni territory, which dates back to the 6th century. We find information about the poet from Khoni named Mose Khoneli in the worldwide spread Georgian epic poem The Knight in the Panther's Skin by Shota Rustaveli, written in 12th century. This is a masterpiece of Georgian literature. It is worth mentioning that Khoni was a merchandising center. There were some wood sawmills, brick and tile, as well as knitting factories. Ukrainian poet Lesia Ukrainka, who lived in Khoni with her husband, wrote to her mother, "This city is a little Venice." Khoni has been taking care of education since ancient times. According to the founder of scientific pedagogy in Georgia, Yakov Gogebashvili, the people of Khoni demanded the opening of schools, and they did their best to invite good teachers into the city. In the 19th, 20th century, under the leadership of Ivane Sharashidze, whose origin was from Khoni, the great theater, a reading room, a bookstore, schools were opened simultaneously.
Thank you very much. Next, Natia, please.
Opening of the first pre-public school in Khoni. Ivane Sharashidze started his career at a very young age when he was 30 years old. Although he lived in the footsteps of a businessman, he purposefully decided to go around his native town and lead the population to successful educational development. Khoni residents were ready to open a two-grade school at their own expense. Ivane was the soul and heart of this activity, and the two-grade school was opened in Khoni in 1870. 40 students were admitted to the school as soon as it opened. Khoni residents were responsible for providing funds. By 1872, there were 100 students in the school, but because of the high tuition fee, the school was soon closed. Ivane wanted to convert a two-grade school into a six-grade one, but was unable to do so. Soon after that, a separate civic school was opened with the second floor, and in 1903, a sixth-grade school was moved to the second floor. But because of the revolution, the schools were closed. Despite that, they were renewed in 1932, and they exist till now.
Yes, and this time Georgia was under the rule of Russia. We have to mention it here. Thank you very much. Next.
The first school for women in Khoni. As the opinion of the population about the education and upbringing of women in Khoni was not the same. Some believe that women were already better educated than young men and that their education was not that important. However, according to others' ideas, women should have become more and more involved in reading and writing. Thus, the opening of the school was inevitable, and Ivane Sharashidze, together with the other initiators, started fundraising. Finally, the school opened in 1872, and 48 female students got enrolled who had been selected from the children aged 7 and 8. The founders of the school saw that the purpose of educational institutions was to form honest and educated citizens who would contribute to the development of the society at that time. However, speaking in Georgian was forbidden in the school. In 1916, Ivane Sharashidze transferred the existing school into a women's gymnasium which supported women's education in Khoni.
Okay, now I will join my students. So at the end of 19th century and in the beginning of 20th century, people in Khoni thought that it would be great to open teachers' seminary. But there was a problem because next to Khoni Municipality, there was a big city called Kutaisi, which still exists for sure. This is the second-rate city. In Georgia, it's much bigger than Khoni. So some very prominent people thought that teachers' seminary should have been opened in that city. But Ivane Sharashidze proved the priority of Khoni compared to Kutaisi, and finally the seminary was opened in Khoni Municipality in 1881. Russian, Ukrainian, Belarusian, Ossetian, Armenian, Azerbaijani, and other nations came here for studying. The seminary trained public school teachers for the whole Transcaucasus. The establishment of teaching seminary was a great cultural event in Emirati, especially in Khoni. And from 1924, a pedagogical school was placed in the seminary. In 1997, part of it was burned and broken, and now it is at the disposal of diocese. Please, Lisa.
The first gymnasium for men and creation of the boulevard. Ivane Sharashidze had an intention to turn his native Khoni into a powerful center of education. Ivane was collecting money again for the support of the opening of men's gymnasium, which was finally fulfilled in 1907. This kind of educational institution was very rare in small towns like Khoni. The Georgian language was not taught there. After the death of Ivane Sharashidze in 1916, the gymnasium for men was transformed into a classical one that continued to exist until 1921. In 1882, a fire burned part of the Khoni open-air market area. The city needed a place where people would take walks and relax. Ivane gathered prominent Georgian people, and with their help was created a wonderful place in the center of the city called Khoni Boulevard. In the 20th century, mass walks, various festivals, and performances took place on Khoni Boulevard, including concerts organized by the Wind Orchestra. Some scenes of Georgian filmmaking were shot around the place as well.
Thank you, Lisa. Now, please, Lisa again.
Silk processing, making, and library. Ivane Sharashidze thought that silk processing would be very profitable businesses for increasing the welfare of the people. After the establishment of Russia in Georgia and the establishment of a peaceful life, more attention was paid to silkworm breeding. Ivane supported the development of agriculture in the region. Fabrics made in Khoni won a gold medal at the exhibition. At the beginning of the 20th century, Georgia products were transported from Khoni to Europe. Khoni became the center of the silk industry in Georgia. Two factories worked in the city, which is why the small town of the Caucasus was called Manchester Live. Sharashidze was awarded a high civil rank. Ivane Sharashidze, a young man who became a fan of the people, called on them to get more education. Together with agriculture development, education started to extend. As a result, the library was officially opened in 1903 and was widely used by civilians.
Thank you, Lisa. Anastasia.
21st century Khoni is now experiencing developmental stages in all areas of community. In the center of Khoni stands a city hall building which oversees the city. Cultural events are actively held at the cultural center. This is a modern house of justice that serves the local population. You can also visit the St. George Orthodox Church in Khoni, which dates back to the 11th, 13th centuries. Khoni has always been a center of education. So, educational projects are still being actively implemented here. The Adult Education Center has opened in Khoni, where the organization English Teacher Space held its first regional conference on English language teaching in 2021. There is a book-rich library in the center with which ATC also collaborates. I would like to mention that tourism is very much developed in Khoni. You can visit Okatse Canyon, which is impressive with its rocky footpaths and beautiful nature. Lots of visitors come here every day.
Thank you so much. So we have finished our history about Khoni Municipality. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions?